Hey guys, welcome. This is HD, and of course I'm joined alongside by Pain User, and we're here for the second game here in the round of 64, featuring of course oGs.TheStC and Slayer's Alicia.
And Alicia taking game one there with 7-gate all-in. But one thing I want to reiterate about game one is that the STC was so close to a hold there. I hope people really realize just how close he was to holding that off, and then also, compound that with the fact that he dropped that third CC. That really was his undoing there, because he almost held that anyway.
Kind of incredible that he almost did, considering he threw down that third CC, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just especially the position of the third CC. If he had dropped the third CC somewhere in his main, and not taken up that really valuable space there at his natural, I think he might have been able to hold that a little bit easier as well.
Yeah, because throwing the command center down there, and you made a hint about this before, it prevents your army from getting that concave you need against the opposing attack.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucks for the STC that he got cheesed, but when you think about their win rates, he is 79% and Alicia's 50%, so maybe Alicia felt like he needed to do something drastic to even out the playing field. But now we're on a map that everybody's very familiar with. This is Shattered Temple, and I would expect to see a more conventional game here, because this is a map that you practice in and day out. This is the first map you're introduced to when you start playing StarCraft 2.
It's definitely a map most players are very familiar with, although it has kind of taken a backseat lately in competitive play. Shattered Temple not being used by a lot of tournaments, but it's still a good map, I think. It's very standard, very straightforward. Everybody has a pretty good concept of the original Lost Temple, and this isn't that far off from the original, so it still has kind of the same aspects as the original, although the back rock expansion to the third definitely changes that dynamic by quite a bit. If that happened to be an island or wasn't as easily accessible, I think it would be a lot more like the original Lost Temple, but the way we see games play out on this map, oftentimes it really does just turn into a half-map split stalemate, and the games can go on forever. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why Shattered Temple has started to take a backseat in competitive play.
Another cool aspect I want to elaborate on too, Pain User, is the decision a player has to make. Do they go for the gold, or do they go for the back area with the rocks? It's one set of rocks regardless, but I definitely feel like this one's a little more vulnerable, higher risk, higher reward. What would you do if you're STC right here and you're playing against Alicia?
That's a good question. I mean, I definitely agree with what you were saying, but it just totally depends on the game and the situation in the game. Right around the time that you're going to take your expansion, if your opponent, say, is staying on two bases a little bit longer than you, and he's built up a larger army and he's being more aggressive with it, then it's probably a good idea to take the back rock expansion, just because it's so much safer, it's harder for him to get to. If you've stayed on two bases for longer and you're controlling the middle of the map, and you have easy access to kill those rocks at the gold, and you have map control, then I think it's a really good idea to take the gold. It just really depends on how the game is going and sort of the ebb and flow of map control and how big your armies are.
Very interesting. SCV just denied their Pain User. Was not allowed to see the one base play that is now developing inside of Alicia's main. He actually went for a gateway right into Robo and then dropped the second gateway down. So we have a very fast robotics facility for Alicia, and the STC has gone for more conventional gas expansion.
Yeah, well, he did go with a reactor expand here on Shattered Temple, which we haven't seen for a while. It was a really popular old build, and he's actually grabbing his second gas immediately after adding those two racks. So he's up to 3 racks now. He has 2 gas going. He's going to get that second orbital up, and just a very, very standard, very safe build from the STC here, and I like the added marine production from the reactor racks. It's going to make you extra safe to any kind of early game push or anything like that.
Perhaps tailored a little bit because he just got all in against by Alicia on Atlanta Station.
Yeah, maybe never know.
So we do have that robotics coming out. Of course, the STC still hasn't scouted. He doesn't really know what's going on inside the base. Didn't see the robotics facility coming. Doesn't know about that Immortal. But there is a Nexus coming down, so Alicia will be expanding. And the SEC here may be pushing out a little bit just to test the waters, but I doubt he's going to make an attack until at least Stim is done.
Yeah. And, well, he's got to be careful if he's tailoring his build to the previous game. That can be really risky. oftentimes the only time players will tailor their build to a game that happened previously is if they do something silly like forget to save a scan during the window of time that a cloaked Banshee could approach, or a DT, or not getting an observer when the opponent goes cloaked Banshees or something like that. If you make a stupid mistake and the next game you play somebody who you know is prone to use Banshees, and you think that there's an opportunity that they might do a second cloaked Banshee or a second DT rush or something like that, then I think it's a really good idea to tailor your build and make sure you just get that observer out a little quicker or save that scan.
Interesting. Well, it looks like the SEC just tried to poke the front there of Alicia, but Alicia wards it away with his Immortal and his army in tow, and the SDC will fall back. I didn't think he would make an attack until Stim is done. I think he was just testing the waters a little bit. He does have to be careful, though. Doesn't want to get force fielded. And there we see the player making his decision here. I'm pretty sure at this point Alicia's thinking, I'm going to grab the rocks and go for the
going for the gold.
Expansion. Yeah, going for the gold.
Going for gold.
He's a 49er today.
Yes, going all out. But he does have 2 Immortals out now, and the STC actually has 4 Marauders at this point. He's got a pretty healthy mix of Marines and Marauders, and the STC does scout that army moving cross map, and it looks like he might be going for some pressure here.
This is interesting.
Once these bunkers get up, I don't know if he'll be able to break the position. Great force fields, though, from Alicia, able to trap about half of the army right there, and that is a disaster for the STC. He really doesn't have that many troops remaining, and it's going to be so difficult for him to hold this off. And keep in mind, this isn't just gateway units. There's 2 Immortals in the mix, and Immortals just absolutely laid a smack down to bunkers, so we'll have to see. I think he's going to be able to cut through this pretty quick, though.
We'll have to see, man. I mean, I think the
close.
SEC, I think he's going to have to make maybe more bunkers in the back, maybe pull some more SCVs to help repair.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he could be in a lot of trouble right here, Pain User, as Alicia's coming in here. Great force fields once again, cuts it off, and he kills out that bunker on the top side, and now focusing the bunker in the middle. Units now unloading as he can try to go out and do some more damage. The SCVs are caught on the outside. There is a good concave from the SEC, so he will hold for now, but similar to the last game, it's like deja vu, man. He makes the hold, but how long for can he do it for?
Yeah, and now that those units are working their way up and around the command center towards the side there, now Alicia is the one with the amazing concave. The STC scrambling just now, getting skinned those medevacs in the flank, but that is not going to be enough. Pulling all the SCVs from his main, but the losses here, just in terms of SCVs, is just way too much for him to recover from. He may hold this off, but at what cost? And I don't even think he's going to hold it off. He only has a handful of Marines and Marauders left. Those medevacs are really helping out, but he's just sustained way too much damage to get back in this game, and there we go. GG's called.
Yeah, and there's the GG. So the SEC loses out on his opportunity here to qualify for IPL4 through the online qualifier. Of course, similar to IPL3, he's going to have more chances to do so. I'm sure we'll be seeing him there at the event in some way, shape, or form, but for now, it looks like Alicia is going to take that W.
Indeed he will. So Alicia will be advancing on to the round of 32. The STC sadly knocked out, and just not living up to the percentages there, but we do see that happen from time to time. Alicia just the better man today.
All right, guys. Well, stay tuned, and we'll be back for some more games here for IPL4's online qualifier number 1.